Fairy Princess of Ergetzin, Part 2. When Bar Shalmon finally regained his composure, he found himself just outside the city and began walking carefully. He was relieved when the first building he encountered turned out to be a synagogue, but its door was locked. Exhausted, in pain, and nearly fainting from hunger, Bar Shalmon sat on the synagogue steps and began to sob like a child. Suddenly, someone touched his arm. Looking up in the moonlight, he saw a boy standing before him. But this was a peculiar child. His feet were cloven like hooves, and the jacket he wore resembled wings. Bar Shalmon said, "Ivri Onohi," which means, "I am a Jew" in Hebrew. The child replied, "So am I. Follow me." Limping slightly, the child led Bar Shalmon to a house behind the synagogue. He opened his wing-like jacket, soared up to a window, entered, and opened the door from inside. He told Bar Shalmon to go into a room where an old rabbi stood to greet him. "Shalom, peace be upon you," the rabbi said, offering him a seat. He clapped his hands, and a table laden with food appeared. Bar Shalmon, too hungry to ask questions, immediately began to eat. When he finished, the rabbi clapped again, and the table vanished. "Tell me what happened," said the rabbi. Bar Shalmon recounted everything and then exclaimed, "Alas, I am a miserable man. I am being punished for breaking my vow. Please help me return home, and I shall reward you and atone for my sin." The rabbi sighed. "Terrible misfortunes have indeed befallen you," he said. "But your ordeal is not over yet. Do you know where you landed when you fell from the eagle's back?" "I don't," Bar Shalmon replied, fear rising again. "Then let me tell you," the rabbi said. "You are no longer in the land of men. You are in Ergetz, the realm of demons, spirits, and fairies." "But didn't you say you were a Jew?" asked Bar Shalmon. "Yes," the rabbi replied. "Even here, like mortals, we have our own religions." "What will happen to me now?" Bar Shalmon asked. "I don't know," said the rabbi. "Few mortals have ever come here, and most were killed. The demons don't like mortals." Bar Shalmon began to cry out, "Woe is me! I am doomed." "Don't cry," said the rabbi gently. "I am a Jew. I oppose evil and will not allow you to be tortured or killed. I will try to save you." "Thank you," said Bar Shalmon, trying to contain his tears. "You don't need to thank me," said the rabbi kindly. "I too have human blood in my veins. My great-great-grandfather was a mortal who came to this land and was spared. Because I descend from mortals, I became a rabbi. Perhaps they will show you mercy too." "But I want to return home," Bar Shalmon pleaded. The rabbi nodded. "Sleep now." He placed his hands over Bar Shalmon's eyes, and he immediately fell into a deep sleep. When he awoke, it was morning. The child who had brought him was sitting on a chair beside his bed. The child signaled for him to follow, and they went through an underground passage to the synagogue. The child seated him beside the rabbi. The rabbi whispered, "They know you're here." Just then, a great commotion was heard, like hundreds of people speaking at once. A crowd of various demons burst in through every window and door. Some had enormous bodies with tiny heads. Others were child-sized with enormous heads. Some had huge eyes, some enormous mouths, some only one leg. They surrounded Bar Shalmon, grunting and glaring. The rabbi climbed onto the pulpit and shouted, "Silence! You cannot defile this sacred place while I am here." The creatures, making odd gestures, sat in strange places, on backs of chairs, atop columns like giant flies, on window sills, or dangled from ceiling beams. When the rabbi's prayer ended, the noise resumed. Give us the oath-breaker. He does not deserve to live. The rabbi managed to restore order. Demons and spirits of Ergetz, listen. This mortal sought my refuge. He is under my protection. Surely our King Asmodai knows of his presence. Let us request a fair trial. The demons initially opposed the idea, but eventually agreed and exited the synagogue as they had entered. Bar Shalmon was taken to King Asmodai's palace, accompanied by a massive crowd of demons and fairies pointing and whispering. They leapt across rooftops, burst out of holes in the ground, and vanished into walls. The palace was a massive marble building adorned with lace-like beauty and surrounded by crystal-clear fountains. When the king appeared on the balcony, all creatures fell silent and knelt. "Why have you come?" thundered the king. The rabbi stepped forward and bowed. "A mortal Jew sought my shelter. Your subjects demand his blood, claiming he broke a sacred vow. My king, I ask for justice." "What kind of mortal is this?" the king asked. Bar Shalmon stepped forward. The king commanded, "Jump up here so I may see you." "I cannot jump that high," said Bar Shalmon. "Try," urged the rabbi. The moment he lifted a foot, he found himself on the balcony. "Well done," said the king. "You learn quickly." "My teachers always said the same," Bar Shalmon replied. "So you are a scholar," said the king. "Can you teach your wisdom to others?" "I can," said Bar Shalmon. "We shall see. My son is eager to learn. If you can teach him, your life will be spared. I grant your trial." The king waved his scepter, and 2 servants flew Bar Shalmon across a valley, dropping him near a large pool. Expecting to fall into it, he instead landed on a rooftop beside the rabbi. "Where are we?" Bar Shalmon asked. "About 150 kilometers from the palace. This is the court." A door appeared. They entered a beautiful courtroom with 3 robed judges wearing purple wigs. A tiny fairy stood on a podium and read from a scroll detailing every event of Bar Shalmon's life. "The mortal Bar Shalmon broke a vow to his dying father," said the fairy. The rabbi defended him, claiming the father's mind was no longer sound and that the vow was invalid. He added that Bar Shalmon was a learned man and would educate the king's heir. The chief judge rose. "Breaking a vow is punishable by death, but if your father's mind was impaired, you shall be spared." "When can I return home?" asked Bar Shalmon. "Never," the judge replied. Saddened, Bar Shalmon asked the rabbi how to return to the palace. "Let's fly," said the rabbi. "Fly? Yes, you have wings now." Bar Shalmon turned and saw wings like those of the demons on his back. He lifted his arms and, to his amazement, soared. He flew toward the palace, wondering if he could return home that way. The rabbi, reading his thoughts, said, "Don't even think about it. These wings don't work beyond these lands." Bar Shalmon decided to obey and began teaching the prince, who was a quick learner. They became close friends. King Asmodai was pleased and said, "I must go to subdue rebellious demon tribes. I'll take my son. The palace is yours until I return." He handed Bar Shalmon a handful of keys. "These open 1,000 rooms, but one room has no key. Do not enter it." Bar Shalmon eventually came upon the door and, forgetting the warning, ordered it opened. Guards refused. He grew angry and broke down the door. Inside sat the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen, on a golden throne. "Who are you?" he asked. "The princess, your future wife," she replied. "How do you know that?" "Because you broke your promise. The penalty is death, unless you marry me." "But I have a wife and child at home." "That life is over," said the princess. "You've broken another vow." Terrified, Bar Shalmon awaited the king's return. When the king arrived, Bar Shalmon confessed, "I saw your daughter. I wish to marry her." "I cannot refuse," said the king. "The law demands that the first to see her must marry her, or die. Swear eternal love and loyalty." "I swear," said Bar Shalmon. The wedding lasted 6 months. The princess's dowry was a palace of gems. All of Ergetz celebrated. To be continued.